Hello, this is Brian, and I will be showing you. I will be reading to you The Fire Ascending, Chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay? I was a boy of 12 when I watched a dragon die. It was during the season of Winterfold, when every morning the hillsides were brittle with frost and the peak of Cascarden shone bright with snow. I was a cave dweller then in the keep of Yolen the healer and seer. One morning, while I was tending a goat, the earth shuddered and a pointed shadow of the beast swept over the valley, bending every blade of grass to its will. The goats were disturbed and came together in a flock. They knew better than I that a dragon was near. I jumped up, spinning about. Between the clouds there was only pale pink sky, but I could hear the quiet scythings of wings and smell the burning sulphur trail the beast was leaving, falling all around like unseen drizzle. Swiftly I gathered my rope around my knees and hurried for the cave as fast as I could. Behind me the goat bells rattled. There was nothing I could do to protect the flock. If the dragon had wanted them, it could have had them all, but killing was not on his mind that day. As I ran up to the scree, calling out to Yolen, he was already standing at the mouth of the cave, staring hard across the yawning valley. His lips were drawn. There was a thoughtful look in his watery eyes. He raised a hand to tell me I should stop my panting. "Be calm, boy. There's no danger." "But it's a dragon!" I blustered, my youthful voice overflowing with wonder. The beasts were so rarely seen those days. This mountain range had once been a breeding ground for him. There were legend here. Yolen himself had taught me this. I saw him nod. His gaze narrowed slightly. "Then be quiet and observe it. This might be the only chance you'll get." And I understood perfectly what he meant. Whenever men spoke about dragons those days, they spoke of them as if they were a finished breed. So I sat upon the scree and peered at the mountain. At the top of Cascarden, I saw the beast in frightening silhouette. It was standing on a pair of stout hind legs, with its wings stretched fully and its long neck funneled at the drifting clouds. I saw no flame, but out of its mouth came a cry. I was sure to veer the air. I wanted to press my hands to my head, but Yolen had not moved to do the same, and I did not wish to seem weak in its presence. So I bore the beast's rippling wail in my ears and tried instead to listen to its voice and make sense of its call. Long ago, Yolen had taught me that all things natural to the earth and had Alma, the great life force Gaia, moved within the most inanimate pebbles as well as through the river and the mountains and me. Even the smallest grain of earth was aware of its presence in the universe, said Yolen. In a sense, we were all being born from the fire of the true Creator, though he had yet to teach me who or what that was. This was a truth all man possessed, but few knew what to do with, he would say. That day I relaxed my thoughts and gave my Alma up to the earth so I could commingle with the dragon on the mountain. I built a picture in my mind from the distant silhouette and let the squealing enter my head. And long before my master had dropped his confident hand upon my shoulder, I knew what Yolen knew already. "It's come to Cascarden to shed its fire here. Go to the cave. Gather food and clothing. There will be a pilgrimage," Yolen said. I looked once more at the creature. It had come hunting. It had not come hunting. It had come here to die, and I was going to witness it. That day I became a follower of Galen. I had no idea when we set off down the valley that this was the dragon's true or real name, that I would learn from the mouths of other followers. The sun had barely moved through the narrowest of arcs when our path began to cross with a host of them, all making their way, like us, to Cascarden. Yolen had led us straight to the river, which ran in a curve through the forest we called Horst. From between the Horst pines the pilgrims were descending, as if the trees themselves had lifted their roots and were moving as one toward the water and the mountain. They were simple folk, dressed in robes or common tunics. They wore sandals made of goat hide. The and furs around their shoulders. I'd envied their children who grew their braided hair far longer than mine and wore necklaces and bracelets made from cones and other seeds. Some of the men I noticed bore spears. The name Galen bubbled up as we joined their throng. The last dragon from the whirl of Hatuzlanden, a male, a bronze with white undersides, a feature that marked the beast down as old, 300 years at least, maybe more. The men argued constantly about this fact. I heard one of them suggesting that the beast might not be old but weakened, that its scales were losing the color due to some unusual condition or disease. Yolan, I saw, took note of this. But there was one thing that they were agreeing on. There must be frost, they kept saying. Frost, frost. The sheer thrill of it glinted in their hungry eyes. They took their spears and gave praise to Gaia. There was a dragon, and there would be frost. This word, like the dragon's name, was new to me. I hugged Yolan's sleeve. "What is frost?" I asked, and he drew me aside, close to the riverbank, a little away from the body of the followers. It has been known for a dragon to shed sparks when its tears released first strikes the earth. The older the creature, the more likely this becomes. A spark may travel far before it lands. At the place where it lands, its energy will linger. If a follower can reach that place before the spark descends into the crust of the earth, it might briefly connect with the dragon's spirit. There are benefits and dangers associated with this. A dragon's fire, as you know, had been said to cure ills. And what are the dangers? I asked. I looked nervously at the men with spears. Would they fight among themselves for the right to have frost, or were they simply wary of the dragon themselves? Would its spirit rear up and haunt them forever if they dared to commingle with its untamed soul? The creatures in life were terrifying enough. How much more fearful could their specters be? Before Yolan could reply, there was a sudden disturbance among the followers. Those at the rear began crying out a warning. I looked back and saw people stumbling and falling, children being picked up and rushed aside. The ground rumbled to the sound of galloping hooves. Horses were upon us, arriving at high speed. The crowd parted like a flock of startled birds, and I saw an old man knocked brutally sideways by the leading horse. It was as black as the unlit cave with a mane that flashed around its neck like a blaze. Its eyes were full of blood and anguish. In the center of its forehead, at the level of eyes, I saw a stump of twisted rock, rough hewn at its point and oozing of kind of syrupy fluid. But my gaze was mostly on the rider, not his mount. Astride the horse sat a thumping brute of a man, with hair as long as the children of horse. The menace in his eyes was as dark as the fists that gripped the black reins. And though I had no reason then to be afraid of him, a fateful chill still entered my heart. For even I, a boy of 12, could tell he was mesmerized by the prospect of the dragon. He was hunting more than Frost, I was sure. As he and at least 6 others swept by, the force of their gallop blew me quickly off my feet. I tumbled down the riverbank with panic in my lungs. Like the land, the river was harassed by the winter. The water broke my fall, its coldness, my voice. "Yolan!" I cried. But he was already there, aided by another stouter man. Their sandals gouged lengthy channels in the earth as they clambered down to the muddy riverbank after me. A hand took my robe and pulled me from the water. I slithered, legs blue and exposed into the shallows. Yolan grabbed me, and I grabbed him. I held tight to his body, where his hand caressed my head. Who were they? I chattered. I was struggling to keep my teeth clamped together. "They were pre-men," said the man who'd come to help. "But that's not possible," I heard Yolan said, but fear in his voice contradicted his words. "Trust me, seer, they were pre-men," the man repeated, and he left us to recover ourselves back to the path. I was too cold then to care about questions. Too shocked to ask my keeper what pre-men meant. All I yearned for was the fur that the horsemen offered and that Yolan had wrapped around my quivering shoulders. As we scaled the riverbank, I quickly put away my own misfortune and turned instead of the people in the forest. The old man, knocked down by the strange black horse, was lying motionless on the ground. A woman was kneeling beside him, weeping. A tall man, rugged and handsome on the hills, looked at the body and touched the woman's arm. I'm stopping here on page 10 because... Bye!